Hello everyone! On the upper decks of Limsalaminsa, one can find Naltic and Vimelis, a combined company which hosts both the Armorers Guild and the Blacksmith Guild. A singular place to get your weapons and armor, and they boast some of the finest crafters of Eorzea. Many years ago, armor crafting fell under the blacksmithing trade, but with advancement in crafting techniques, they evolved into two distinct professions. One focused on crafting the metallic tools and weapons we use every day to kill our enemies, and the other on making the armor that prevents us from being stabbed through the chest. In this video, we will explore the story of the armorer in A Realm Reborn. At the time we joined the guild, it's being led by Force Master Hanansa. She was chosen for the role through a competition in the skill of armorsmithing. After her victory, she became the Force Master. She's known for being fair, but sometimes a little bit harsh as a mistress. She is a former shipwright and takes her role quite seriously. Though, as we quickly learn, she is also quite fair and holds a deep understanding that armor crafting is not a job you do alone, but one you have to do as a team. And to me, she seems like a fair leader with a firm grasp on what is needed to excel at the craft of armorsmithing. So our first missions are therefore simple. They are focused on mastering the hammer, learning how to forge good ingots, and the basic shapes for armor crafting, and generally just gaining the skill we need to do our work to the quality expected by the guild. And with time, Hanansa starts trusting us to take on more serious work, including supplementing materials to assist weaker crafters. We are introduced to Granny, who is described by the Force Master as a fumbling crafter, a woman who tends to rush too much. We are tasked with crafting her some metal sheets, and when we turn them in, it actually helps Granny understand that the final product is not the only thing that requires attention, but even crafting the basic materials needs attention and care. And that what feels like a trivial act of hammering bronze plate or measuring the metal is a foundation for any good armor. And this is also a lesson for us to know that if we want to craft quality items, it is much easier to craft them with quality ingredients. It is not much later that Hanansa asks us to help another armor crafter. This one is a Rogidin named Stvida. Different from Granny, she is no fumbling crafter. She is actually as dedicated as they come, and has never missed a delivery before. And now she has, and Hanansa is unsure how to approach this problem. Because while Stvida is a strong crafter, she is also a gentle soul that tends to flinch at the merest hint of criticism. So perhaps someone less imposing would be better to speak to her instead of the Force Master. We agree and head to find the woman. We find a nice stone fence to stand on to supplement her short height against her tall one, and simply ask her what happened. She profusely apologizes and explains that her confidence has been shaken recently. A veteran of the guild, a Rogidin named Blanstir, came to visit her. When he viewed her work, he claimed it wasn't even worth covering a chocobo's ass. And since then, she just lost all confidence in herself. The worst thing is that Blanstir didn't even tell her what was wrong with her work. So she is unsure what she should be improving on. And at the same time, she is too afraid to ask him in person, in case he will just go on another rant at her. So she asks us to go ask him instead. As we are someone who over our time in Eorzea has faced a lot of scary things that are notably bigger than we are, one cranky armorsmith is not such a big deal. We approach Blanstir, who turns out to be frustrated with the guild under the current Force Master. He is claiming all novices are inferior in their work, too focused on teamwork instead of crafting proper things. And then, as if to prove a point, he challenges us to craft the same piece he criticized Stvida for. So, off we go and craft the helmet and a buckler. And Blanstir is surprised. He's actually impressed by our work, claiming that the other novices have nothing on us. So, we try to ask him what was wrong with her work. And he tells us that we should deliver a message for him, that if she has the time to wallow in wounded tears, she has the time to examine her own mistakes. The world doesn't have any need for crafters who can't see their own mistakes and correct them. And while this is not the worst advice, it's also not very helpful. After all, a more experienced crafter can spot errors in the work of a lesser experienced one and guide them. Sometimes you cannot see the flaws in your own work simply because you lack the experience and understanding to see them. And that is not necessarily a character flaw, it's just a sign of lacking experience. So, Blandstyr is mostly just being an ass over here. We do go back to Svita and tell her what he said. And she admits that she's planning to leave the guild. That maybe she just shouldn't have pursued crafting at all. And absolutely furious, we go and report this to Hanansa. This is where we learn that she and Blandstyr actually have a very long history with the guild. The two of them started around the same time, growing as armorers. And while their personalities and views were quite different, they had no major issues between them until the former Forgemaster retired. At the time, Hanansa and Blandstyr both put themselves forward for the role of Forgemaster, so a competition was held, one that Hanansa won. But that competition seems to have driven a permanent wedge between them, and while Hanansa admits that Blandstyr's comments are not fully without merit, they are still not the only approach to train new armorers, and it's not the approach he wants to take with the guild. After all, a few master armorers cannot equip a whole army. It requires teamwork of skilled armorers, and many of them. So if we only nurture those with natural-born talent, those who will become the greatest of all great armorers, well, we can never fulfill the demands for the basic armor that is needed out there. With this, Hanansa decides she just needs to think about this. We can't have Blandstyr causing a rift in the guild, but at the same time, she doesn't really want to expel him from the guild. So after some thinking, she comes up with a plan. With Blandstyr being a vital part of the guild, for his experience and talent, she does really want him to stay. But she wants him to see that his way isn't the only way. We should show every commission to Blandstyr, speak to him about the work we make, about the other apprentices, and try to show him that the way Hanansa teaches is actually a good one. Though doing this slowly starts building a rift between us and the guild members, as they believe we are loyal to Blandstyr rather than Hanansa, and in fact, Blandstyr seems to think so as well, offering us to leave Hanansa and join him instead. But we have no interest in betraying our Forgemaster. This is our guild, and we quite like it like this. But Hanansa does notice the anxiety around us from the other guild member, so she decides she will do something to dispel it. She puts us on a commission of high value. This will show both our dedication to the guild and the trust Hanansa puts in us, hopefully helping the other guild members see that we are actually on her team. The commission is from a wealthy resident of Costa del Sol, so the armor has to be of the finest quality. In fact, the man is so rich and important, he didn't even come here in person. Instead, he sent one of his servants with some finer details on the order. So, we are to meet with them. First we go find the servant, who is down by the Fishers Guild, only to learn that Blandstyr has taken the order instead. And him being well known for his skill, the servant thought nothing of it, believing he was sent by the Forgemaster. Absolutely furious, we stomp our way back up the guild to confront the Rogadin about him stealing our commission. And Blandstyr doesn't care, though he does offer us a challenge. We will both craft the armor, and the better armor will go to the client. Fine. We agree, and then put every ilm of experience and knowledge into crafting the best armor we have ever made. And as Blandstyr brings his own, we place them side by side, and it turns out ours is superior. In fact, Blandstyr admits it himself. He tells us that there is a tradition amongst armorers that the loser delivers the winner's piece and announces who made it. And he does. Over the course of some time, we continue working for the guild and start to get more important orders, including crafting a new pan for the head of the Culinarian Guild. And then, one day, Blandstyr issues us a formal challenge. He has grown frustrated that he isn't getting his way, that Hanansa doesn't want to train armorer like he wants them to be trained. So, he plans to put things right. And to start, he wants to show that even her best pupil can't beat him. So, it will be a 3-round contest of skill where he plans to beat us at every turn. For the first round, we make a Mithril curious, and Hanansa will be the judge. We craft the armor and turn it in for inspection, just like Blacksmiths, and Hanansa finds ours to be superior. Though Blacksmiths does partially chalk this up to her being biased. The next round is a pair of armored boots, but when we turn ours in, we learn that the guild is desperately in need of them. One of the apprentices, which we helped earlier in our days, has failed to deliver. They have improved greatly, but accepted a commission they had no chance of finishing, and now the guild's reputation is at risk. And the client is the Maelstrom, which is the grand company of Limsom Laminsa and one of our biggest clients. Well, we know there is one round left, so we hand the armor over, saving the guild's reputation, but also losing this particular round of the competition. We do try to ask Blacksmiths for a little more time, but that's not happening. Instead, he tries to use this as a point to show that our fellow guild members will always drag us down. And so, the final round starts, with us and Blacksmiths tied. For the final round, the Admiral herself will be the judge. It is of course not for just a simple competition, but kind of a lucky coincidence. The Maelstrom is investing in new armor, and the Admiral is also inspecting the various organizations within the city to see their current and potential roles in promoting trade with the East. Blacksmiths, of course, took this chance and decided our final round should be to show off our armor and have her judge which is better. So we bet to craft up a storm this time. Though thinking about it, the good thing about the Admiral being the judge is that at least Blacksmiths cannot claim bias. And just before sunrise, the guild, the Maelstrom, and the Admiral gather to judge the pieces. And what a test it is! Instead of simply examining the armor, the Admiral has two of her men dress up in them, and then has others attack them with axes to see how sturdy they are. Hell, she even shoots them. And as the smoke settles, it is our armor which stands, while Blacksmiths stumbles. We have won, and while the guild celebrates, Blacksmiths walks away in shame, as he can't figure out why our chain link held up against bullets, while his failed. And in a way, he now faces the same dilemma he put some of the other apprentices in before, who have made a mistake, but not knowing why, needing the eyes of another to evaluate and guide them, a thing he has always refused to do for others. Well, we are not him, so after celebrating our victory, we go and talk to the man. He has taken a bit of a time to think about things and decided he's gonna need a bit of a time away from the guild. He has made a fool of himself and sees now that he was too stubborn to even see it happen. So he wants to take a leave and think about things. But while he's away, he does ask us to keep an eye on the guild and remind Hanansa to not let things fall apart in his absence. We wish him a good trip and ask him to return to the guild again when he has taken his time. Then we report the news to the Forgemaster, who is pleased and a bit sad to see him go. But she understands and believes it will be good for him. After all, armorsmithing has always been an art of cooperation. and learning from others. In fact, learning how to mine and use cobalt ore is a skill learned from the kobolds. Without cooperation, the art of armorsmithing would not have advanced this far like it has today. The mistake Blacksmiths was making was seeing his guildmates as rivals and enemies, but hopefully during his journey, he will have the chance to grow. And so, our story ends as an armorsmith during a realm reborn. We found a nice place within the guild, showed our armor skill to the Admiral, and decided to never volunteer as a test subject for anything when it comes to that woman, for our own health and safety. I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and press the notification bell so you will be notified of all my future videos. But for now, I hope you have a lovely day.